Spider-Man is the most popular superhero on the planet and is by far one of the most recognizable, and it is no mystery why. No matter who you are, where you come from, there is always something you can relate to. Whether you're new to the character or you think you're a Spider-Man expert, stick around as we're going to be covering his origins, powers, some must-reads, and some must-watches, as well as just what we think about the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Very much like Batman, he has kind of a tragic origin. His parents died in a plane crash, but later on we find out that they were actually murdered by the Red Skull, which, to be honest, when I read that, I was kind of in awe because I was like, why the hell would the Red Skull care about Peter Parker's parents? But they were spies, CIA spies. And so the Red Skull had them killed. But they were also framed in the goings on uh for working for the Red Skull. And then later on, Spider-Man clears that up. So he gets adopted by his aunt and uncle. And I'm sure that 98% of us know about Uncle Ben and how Uncle Ben tragically gets murdered. And it's kind of, depending on what you're reading or what you're watching, it's kind of always Peter's indirect fault, if you will. Obviously, had he known what was going to happen, he would totally stop the dude. But essentially, he lets a robber go, and that robber ends up shooting his uncle. And then, he embarks on this quest to protect his neighborhood. He's not out there like protecting everyone, but he's protecting mainly his neighborhood. And I like when they keep it, to me, the best Spider-Mans are when they keep it very grounded.
Yes.
For better or for worse, Uncle Ben and Aunt May, uh, they're his parents. They've raised him, they've taught him right from wrong. Uncle Ben's infamous line, with great power comes great responsibility. And Peter really takes that to heart. Before I go too far, Peter got his powers probably the coolest way. Well, when I was a kid, I always thought I was out there finding spiders to bite me. Just fucking crazy. But it's funny now because my nephews, um, they've seen the Spider-Verse movies, they've seen Spider-Man the animated series, and probably every Spider-Man movie that's out there, and they're out there looking for fucking spiders to be bitten by. Peter Parker gets bitten by a radioactive spider and gets these amazing abilities. Probably, but depending on what you're reading and what you're watching, but about 12 hours later, he just wakes up, he's Spider-Man.
And then moving on to Spider-Man's powers, he was, as Edward said, bitten by a radioactive spider that was then further radiated at the science fair that Peter attended, which then bit him and then gave him the powers that we know today. However, as with most comic companies, they like messing with origins. So that is one of them, but also one possibility of how he got his powers. And this is even admitted by Peter that it is equally as possible that they're kind of both possible things that could have happened. Was that he is the totem of the spider. I don't like it. It's not my personal thing. But if you've seen Madam Web, Ezekiel Sims, the villain of that movie, kind of thinks similar to him. He's the one who tells Peter this, and it's kind of, it gets a little out there when you get to like the web of life and destiny.
That's lame.
It's a bit lame, but that is also one of the possible origins for his powers. But we all know and love the spider. I mean, I think most people don't even know about the totem part, and I don't think anyone cares. But onto his powers, as Edward said, he has superhuman strength. He is easily able to lift up to 10 tons and is able to swing a 3-ton wrecking ball using steel chains. He can kill most humans with a single blow. He has to hold back his powers, and you can see this in Superior Spider-Man when Otto Octavius takes over Peter Parker's body and almost kills someone just by accident because he didn't know Spider-Man's own strength. Peter Parker is able to just tap someone on the forehead and they get knocked out, which is incredible. And when we talk about strength, usually we talk about arms, punches, fighting, but also with his legs, because of the strength, he's able to jump buildings in a single bound. I know that's Superman's line, but I think it applies a lot more than Spider-Man now than it does Superman. And he also has superhuman speed. He's able to catch up to fully speeding cars and vehicles. He can even move faster than the eye can see, where he looks to be this blur. And yeah, moving on to his reflexes. His reflexes are 40 times faster than ordinary humans. He can dodge pretty much any given attack, and coupled with the spider sense, which is an automatic reflex, it's amazing he gets hit at all. He's also extremely agile, even so that it rivals Daredevil. But I will say, considering that Spider-Man's superhuman, it is more impressive for Daredevil. But he's able to rival trained acrobats. He's able to swing, do a lot of gymnastic stunts. I mean, as you've seen from the movies, the comics, that's one of the things that you see from him. You see him flipping around, doing all these neat visual tricks that don't really do much when he's traveling, just looks really fucking cool.
Yeah,
But
I
he
agree.
is essentially just a trained acrobat at this point, just from years of experience.
You know what I want to see? I want to see a comic where it's and just because of what you just said, the acrobat, I want to see Daredevil, Nightcrawler, and Spider-Man team up
That would be
and
pretty
just
cool.
swing through the damn city.
And then Spider-Man's stamina, due to the spider toxins, he produces fatigue toxins much, much slower than regular people, where it takes several hours of peak exertion for him to start feeling any sort of fatigue. And then, as Edward said earlier, Spider-Man's incredibly durable. He has fallen from several stories. He's been hit by people with super strength, such as the Hulk, and he has gotten up and just walked away. He survived point blank explosions, and one thing he has to do because of how durable he is that a trained boxer early in Spider-Man's career punched him. And you know when you're gonna get hit, you tense your muscles just because you don't want to get hurt. That's what you do. Spider-Man did that and broke the boxer's fist. So he has to purposely roll with people's punches so their fists don't get broken if they don't have super strength.
Man, if I was Spider-Man, motherfuckers would just be getting their hands broke.
Yeah, you just, I mean, Flash Thompson and Tobey Maguire movie, hit him. I dare you. I dare you, Flash, to hit me. And that would be the wildest story to tell the principal. Flash hit me. Then how come his arm is broken? He hit me. That's all that happened. And all the witnesses say the same exact thing. That's that would be a wild story.
And just add to what Griff said about, him getting punched and by the Hulk and getting up and walking away. Dude, he's knocked out. Thor, Wolverine have gotten hit by the Hulk and have been knocked the hell out. Spider-Man has, although in a lot of pain, has gotten up and walked off,
Yeah.
which
And
is crazy.
what I'd say is probably a little bit more impressive than fighting the Hulk is he's able to withstand, he's durable enough to survive getting beat down by Colossus and Magic when they both have the Phoenix Force. And then, as with Spider-Man, with all the web slinging, being able to stick on surfaces, to be able to do that, he needs to have perfect balance. He has perfect equilibrium on any point, no matter how small. And this is even proved in a comic where the entire, like, 6 pages is just the different surfaces that Spider-Man can stand on without losing his balance. One of them being the Hulk's arm. He can just be on any surface and find perfect balance, which I think is so cool. Because it's a minor thing you don't really think about, especially with all the things that he does. But I think that is probably one of the more important ones because without it, I think Spider-Man would be a lot less fun to watch or fun for different reasons. And then he also does have a healing factor. He's able to, when blinded, is able to heal his eyesight in just a few hours. He suffered third-degree burns and healed it off in 2 days. And he has healed broken bones just overnight.
That's great.
And also with that, he's able to resist toxins and drugs and anything entering the bloodstream that would otherwise harm him. However, for some reason, alcohol still affects him normally. Maybe it's a conscious choice, just like with his spider sense, how we can consciously ignore it. But that seems a bit weird. And then his web crawling, which is a staple. He is able to mentally control the flux of the electron shells to create attraction. So that's how he's able to stick to things. This has been used offensively. There's a clone of Spider-Man named Kane who uses this where I don't know if you guys have heard of the Mark of Cain, but essentially what it is he puts his 5 fingers on your head, sticks to it, and rips off your skin, which is terrifying. Spider-Man has done this once though, saying that this is a mark from his brother, which is probably the coldest thing he's ever done. And then, as we said with the spider sense, he's able to know when things are coming. Albeit he may not know the exact event, but he will know something is coming. Like it can be several hours before, it could be a few seconds where then you get a better guess. Hey, there's a car about to hit me. And he reflexively just dodges out of the way, and he is able to ignore it if he chooses to. And depending on the severity of the danger, it becomes more and more intense to the point where it could be debilitating with how much of a headache and ringing it is. And it actually also works when he's asleep or unconscious, which I think is really cool. As Edward said before, he has a genius level intellect. When in high school, Peter Parker has the same IQ that Reed Richards did at Peter's age. And Reed Richards is one of the smartest people in Marvel by far. Peter's developed a lot of technology. He's created his own spider trackers. He's created his own web fluid. He even built an Iron Spider suit at one point. He's created Parker particles, which is kind of stupid, but he's still done it. He's even founded his own company called Parker Industries, which is, again, he's a tech genius as well as a brilliant engineer. He's also a skilled photographer, master acrobat, and he is a master martial artist. While he's had very little formal training, he has been able to just hone his skills over the years, and he has been trained by Captain America. And with the help of Shang-Chi, he has developed his own fighting style called Way of the Spider, which is pretty cool, although he's kind of fallen out of practice with it. And he has been able to defeat people such as Wolverine, Quicksilver. He's defeated the X-Men single-handedly. And he has stalemated Captain America and Shang-Chi, which I think is pretty impressive considering their whole styles technique. So I think that's pretty cool. And then while he may not have any inherent weakness, he does have tremendous bad luck. He has probably some of the worst luck in comics. He's always surrounded by tragedy, and other than that, I would say just Venom, as he's able to get past Spider-Man's spider sense, which is almost a crutch at times. But other than that, you just need to overpower him or just be able to just outdo him, as he has no like inherent weakness like kryptonite or weakness to like Sonic and fire. I personally really like Spider-Man. He is one of my favorite heroes, if not my favorite hero. I remember reading him growing up, and one thing I think is really funny is, yeah, he's this nerdy character, but I think he has more relationships than Batman, or at least equal to, because it is surprising how many people he has a relationship with. Although he's only married Mary Jane Watson. Personally, I do really like him with Gwen Stacy. I don't like him too much with MJ, especially the movies. And I'll get into the movies later. But I think Gwen Stacy fits a lot more, especially with her being. They just complement each other a little bit more. And that's why when she died, many people were very unhappy. And so much so that the editor got death threats, which is never okay to do. But it just shows how important of a character she was. But I think why a lot of people like Spider-Man, a lot of people relate to him, is that he is a very tragic character. There's a lot of tragedy that happens around him, but every single time he always gets up, continues moving, and usually learns something from it. And I think that's kind of why more modern, like last 5 years, Spider-Man comics have kind of been struggling, is they're just making Peter suffer for no reason. Like before, when Steve Ditko and Stan Lee came out with Spider-Man, all the suffering was purposeful. There was a reason to the suffering, and each time he learned. Uncle Ben died, he learned about power and responsibility. When Gwen Stacy died, he learned about having to make the choice, and that's just part of his life. It's something he needs to accept, as well as maintaining a secret identity, because that was a big thing with it. And now he's kind of just suffering just to suffer, which is boring, and it's against the whole character. It defeats the purpose of it. And I really hope Marvel gets back on track with it, because they need to fix that.
Yeah, I don't like them to suffer just to suffer. I don't think there's any growth in that. So I don't know when they're going to get back around to making Spider-Man. I don't think there's anything wrong with just letting your hero be happy.
Yeah.
I
They
think
just
he's
will
gone through
never let
enough.
him
I
be. I
think
mean, they've even
uh,
said in a quote they're never going to let Spider-Man be happy. He's never going to get the happy ending, which is I hate that.
that's lame.
He
That's
earned
just
it,
fucking lame. Yeah,
especially with like having Miles and so many other now different Spider-Men. You can definitely write him to have a happy ending. They just don't want to, and
that's
that
lame.
hurts. So as I said earlier, I am really not a fan of the Tobey Maguire movies. I know a lot of people like him as their favorite Spider-Man, but I think those movies have not aged well. And if you don't believe me, go watch them. They really haven't. And I think Tobey Maguire is he's a good Peter Parker, good okay. He's not a great Spider-Man. And Kirsten Dunst is a terrible MJ. She's awful. My favorite Spider-Man personally is Andrew Garfield. I think he is the most accurate, although he is a bit too old. I think he'd be a really great college level Spider-Man, but he doesn't look like a high schooler. But I think he was the best we were ever going to get. Tom Holland, I think, does a good job. He's a good mixture of both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Something's just missing. He's not quite there like Andrew Garfield is. I think it's because maybe Tom just sounds a little bit less mature or a little bit less experienced, where he just seems a little too baby faced. And I know it's nitpicky, but I'm a huge Spider Man fan, and that's just how it is. But I will say, absolutely, my favorite Spider Man movies are the Spider Verse series. And before people say Peter Parker did Spider Verse first, I'm just putting that out there before people saying that's a Miles thing. That is definitely was a Peter thing. But those Spider Verse movies are really good. If you haven't seen those are definitely ones to watch. I really like, even though Peter's in it, but it is mostly a Miles story, and that's I'm gonna get into it a little bit. But I think the Spider Verse movies are perfect Spider-Man stories and embody the character just so perfectly that I don't think it's going to ever be outdone in live action. In Into the Spider Verse, the first Peter Parker we get from Miles' world I think is the most accurate Spider-Man we've gotten in animation and live action. Even though he's there very briefly, I think Chris Pine was able to do a lot with just a few minutes that I think was incredibly accurate that I really did appreciate.
I like that
So I
too.
would like to
Yeah.
put him there, which is surprising because they had Chris Pine playing Spider-Man. And I know whenever I say that, people give me this weird look, but Chris Pine surprisingly rocked it.
I do enjoy the first Tobey Maguire movies. And funny enough, I think he plays a good Spider-Man. I just don't I never liked him as Peter Parker. So I was coming out of high school when those movies were when the first movie was coming out because I graduated in 2001. Tobey never struck me as a high school kid. I
Okay.
know that in the confines of that movie, they graduate and they go on to college. I get that 100%. And I remember telling my friends that, and they were like, "Nah, he doesn't." I'm like, "That's because you fuckers look old." But he just never. I don't know. Well, none of them did really. None of them
Yeah.
struck me as, especially Harry Osborn. I was like, "This fucking dude's not a senior in high school.
Franco.
This guy looks like he's got a fucking internship already at I don't know somewhere." But I just thought that was odd. I liked him as Spider-Man. I thought he played a good Spider-Man. I love the suit. I was like, all right, Spider-Man. I didn't like, and this is just me nitpicking, I didn't like him shooting his web because I immediately, the comic book dude in me was like, what the fuck? I
That was such
remember
a weird change.
saying that. And I'm like, and I also remember Sam Raimi's explanation for that. I was like, that's lame, dude. I don't know. The comic book dude in me didn't like that. But other than that, I thought it was they were okay. I thought they were good for the times. I love
They
seeing
are good for
him
the time.
slinging and shit like that. I love that. I didn't like Kristen Dunst as
She's awful.
MJ.
She's so bad.
I don't know why. To be fair, I was never a Kristen Dunst fan. I was never like that's my girl. So I really dug William Dafoe as fucking Norman Osborn. I thought he was probably the best thing about that movie. The second movie, it was good. It wasn't great. I think I could have done without Alfred Molina's man titties. I could have definitely done without that. I mean, they could have put a shirt on that dude easily. I'm not sure why they went that way. And having gone that way, could have had the dude do a couple pushes before starting filming. I don't
I
know.
mean, it looks kind of like Doc Octopus, which I like, but I also like how his arms weren't CGI. That
I
was
do
definitely
like
cool.
that. I just the man boobs. Eh,
Yeah, we could have had a shirt. That would have been fine.
could have had a shirt. Of course, Alfred Molina is a great actor.
Oh yeah.
The movie is pretty solid. The third one is. it's fucking horrible. It's bad. That 70s show, Eric Foreman kid is fucking venom. Dude, when he was cast, I had, and this is, grant you, I'm guilty of doing this a lot. Someone will be cast in a movie and I'll be like, ah, that's he's just gonna fucking ruin that.
Yeah, I don't know.
This one I this
Topher
one I,
Grace doesn't look like Eddie Brock.
this one I was pretty sure of. As soon as I heard I saw it on MTV, one of those TRL things. Or like Topher Grace cast as Venom. I'm like, what? And my sister was like, no, yeah, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like this kid looks like he needs a sandwich right now. And they were like, of course, all the dorks were like, he could bulk up, dude. I'm like, I don't think this kid could bulk up. We have friends like this that can't bulk up. I'm like, I don't think all the prep time in the fucking world is gonna bulk. Not we were never gonna get Eddie Brock as we have him in the comics or in
Yeah,
Spider-Man the animated series. But come on, man. My 8-year-old kid has more muscle on her than this fucking kid.
yeah.
We all saw that 70s show. We all know that this kid's like he desperately needs a sandwich or a banana in the morning. Anyway, he plays him exactly the way I thought he was going to play him. First of all, Venom's in there to be there, but there's way too many villains.
I don't think it's too many villains. I know that was something that was said at the time, but I think since then it's been proved that you can have that many villains. I just think it
You
was
can,
bad
but if you know how to
balancing.
do it,
Yeah, it was
they
terrible
didn't know how to
balanced.
balance it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got,
I will say though, Sandman was pretty solid.
but then you didn't do the others because then we had essentially the second Green Goblin, which was just a dude fucking skiing, and then we had Venom, and even Venom when he did get the suit on, it was just
Yeah.
Eric Foreman from that '70s show with the Venom suit. Then the teeth. Grant you, the origin story of Venom was done better than we've seen with Tom Hardy's Venom because the symbiote does land on Earth, kind of. Peter Parker gets the suit first. Then sadly, we get that stupid ass Peter Parker dance. And to me, I do really like Andrew Garfield as
Oh
Spider-Man.
yeah.
I think that dude was perfect as Spider-Man. I think that dude was perfect as Peter Parker. Um,
And Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy was solid.
yeah, I've heard a lot of people be like, "Fuck you, dude. He looks as old as Tobey Maguire."
No.
If you watch Spider-Man 1, the Tobey Maguire movie, and then you go watch The Amazing Spider-Man, and you sit here and you fucking tell me those dudes look the exact same age, where are you buying your liquor so I can go get some of that shit? They do not look, and I get you, some people look older than others, but I saw no, grant you, when the first Spider-Man movie came out, I was a senior in high school. I saw no senior, maybe my high school just sucked, I don't know. I saw no senior. Tobey Maguire looked like fucking 30. He
Yeah.
just looked. Every time I saw him, and I kept telling my friends, like, "This motherfucker looks like he's 30." They're like, "He's not." I'm like, "I think he
How
was
old was he?
26 or 28 at the time, so I was not that
Damn.
far off." I was like, "Dude, he's best friends with fucking Leo DiCaprio. He's not high school age, man." I do really like Tom Holland as Peter Parker. I get the babyface shit, but to me, I'm seeing him grow. Now he's going off to college. I like that
I like
evolution.
that.
I
I like it a
didn't
lot.
like him being Tony Stark's pet project so much, but I understand that Tony was the big gun and he had to be in everything. I get that. It was smart of Marvel. I don't like Zendaya so much as MJ, not because she's black. I just they made her really fucking weird and like I'm not the cool kid, but I am cool. I don't like that. That's fucking lame. Just be cool, man. And also I think there's a lot hotter chicks than her. Like that's just my personal opinion. Um, Funny enough, I've told Griffin this 1,000 times. The chick that Peter Parker likes
Liz
in that
Allen.
first Spider-Man movie, I'm like, why the hell did you go after MJ when you were, and he was gonna land that chick too. He had been
Because her
invited to her
father's a
house.
vulture and
I
she
don't
had to
care.
move.
I would have fucking switched to schools. Fuck MJ.
And then if you are a fan of Spider-Man or you just want to know more about him and his rogues gallery, because he has one of the best rogues galleries in all of comics, I think he's second just to Batman. Go check out the 90s Spider-Man animated series. It is so well done. Animation could be better, but I mean, it was the 90s, but the stories are unmatched. It's up there with Batman the animated series for sure. And if you enjoy Spider-Man or you just like the MCU, Marvel's coming out with a new Spider-Man show at the end of January called Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and I cannot wait. I am so excited for that show, and The animation looks so good. I can't. I've been waiting for this for years. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I agree. Spider-Man, the animated series, that show got me more into Spider-Man than probably anything else. And very much like I've said about Batman, the animated series, I get a lot of my Spider-Man lore from that. Like, if you
Yeah.
do it differently from Spider-Man, the animated series, I'm probably going to be pissed. In fact, I've been known to be pissed about a lot of shit that hasn't done
Like
it the
fucking
way,
Craven.
like
God,
Craven, like Venom,
fuck that.
like Carnage, like
Madam Web.
it's really well, yeah, like Madam Web. It's a really well written series. They even did Secret Wars in that animated series.
Which is
Granted, not
cool.
as big as they did in the comics because they can't, but they did Secret Wars. It's I think it's like the last four episodes.
Hmm.
And speaking of comics, Secret Wars. First, get the black suit, and Spider-Man's in Secret Wars.
And Marvel's about to do it, so it's a perfect time to read it. I also think that reading Spider-Man: The Last Hunt is a fantastic story. It's where Craven really shines. I think the Death of Gwen Stacy is always a great read. I mean, the Return of the Green Goblin. There's so many great Spider-Man stories to read. I feel like if you pick any of them, you're gonna have a good time because even the bad ones are bad purely by comparison, but they're still fun reads regardless. I will say the Ultimate Spider-Man line from 2006, 2012, I believe, was really well done. That one's pretty solid if I had to pick one.
I'm partial to this, but anytime that Daredevil and Spider-Man are on screen or on the pages together, it's an incredible, enjoyable read for me. And if you guys want to check those out, he does cameo in Spider-Man the animated series, and those are
Yeah.
probably my heavy favorite episodes. Although I agree with Griff, the animation probably wasn't. I mean, it's just the 90s,
It's good
but
for the time, but also Daredevil's going to be in the new Spider-Man show, played by Charlie Cox. Also, I feel like I have to say this. Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain first, and so was Punisher. That's
yeah,
all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Spider-Man is definitely one of Marvel's biggest characters, and we recently did a video on one of DC's biggest characters. If you enjoyed this video, go check out everything you need to know about Batman. We give Batman the same treatment we gave here, and we think you're going to enjoy it.
take care, guys.